Hi everyone, welcome to Greeklish Outdoors. Today we are going to do a review of different types of fire starter. Now the ones we're going to focus on today are the ones which are considered eco-friendly. So we won't be using any chemicals which are toxic to the environment. Right, we're going to assess these fire starters based on a few different aspects, including how easy they are to ignite with a fire steel or with a lighter, if they're wind or water resistant, how long they actually burn for, and then of course the price. So let's get a look at these fire starters we're going to test out. So these are the different fire starters we're going to use today. We're going to compare the fire plugs, which you might have seen me use on my channel before, which are basically packed cotton with infused with wax, basically. Then we have here these wax and wood chips, which are compressed into these little sticks. We have fire gel, which is a alcohol gel. We have these okie doki firelighters, which are basically compressed natural wood shavings. And we have a homemade one, which many of you may have used before, which is a cotton pad or cotton wool balls which have been dipped in petroleum jelly. So we'll go through these individually, test them out and see how each of them do. So first up are the fire plugs. So you may have seen these on other channels before. So these wax cotton plugs, I got 10 pieces and it was €4.95 from the Bath Bushcraft shop. You can actually get them in larger packs. You can get them on Amazon in packs of 50 or 100 for up to €20. And manufacturers say they will light in any weather and will burn for 4 minutes. So let's check those aspects out. So just give them a little twist. Now you don't actually have to use a full one of these per fire. You probably split them and use them in one half at a time. See how that's fluffed up? So let's just use that. Just fluff it up a bit more. Get these fibres released. And let's see if they'll light with a spark. So yeah, lit straight away with a spark. So that lit pretty well, pretty easily with the fire steel. Let's check if it will be wind resistant. There's a slight breeze today, but let's give it a hand. Yep, that checks. I mean, the back one went out, but that might not have been burning as effectively. But so it's taken quite a hard gust of wind there to blow it out. So it's not windproof, but it is wind resistant. Use the other half now. Let's break it up a little bit, as we would do before we're going to light it. And now let's just put a little bit of water on it. And let's see now if that will light again with a spark. Okay, it has lit. You see, it has lit, but it is struggling with some of the wet fibres. Now let's check how long one of these fire plugs will burn for, and let's see if it does actually reach 4 minutes like the manufacturer suggests. Coming up to a minute. It's a minute now. Still burning well. 2 minutes 52, almost 3 minutes. And it is still burning. It's been over 4 minutes now. And yet they are still ablaze. I mean, the flame is going down, but they are still alight. Right, I'm going to stop it now, because at just over 5 minutes they've just gone out. Right, the next ones we'll try are the wax and wood strips. Now, to make it fair, I think those plugs will probably be 3 of those per one strip. So technically that's 36 fires at a minimum you can get out of this pack. Now, I paid €1.70 for these from greekairsoft.gr, but you can get them from militarysurplus.eu for $2.60 they sell them for. I will put a link to everything in the description below. So let's get these open and see how these perform. A bit tough to break off, so I'll cut a piece. Right, that's a similar size to the fire plug. So once you've cut them open, they do break apart. So let's do what we did with the fire plugs and see if we can get some fibres going here. Again, we'll just use half just to test how easy it lights. There we are. It has lit. It's burning very quickly, quite hot as well. Let's test how windproof it is now. So if you blow heavily on them, they will go out like the fire plugs, but some mild wind resistance there. Now let's check how they do when they're a little bit damp. Same thing again. Now let's see if we can get that started. Right, took a little bit more work, but we have got a flame. So it did light up, just like previously without being damp. It did take a little bit more lighting than the fire plugs, but it is now ablaze. It seems to be burning well. I think because of the wax, because this one you can't fluff out as much as the plugs. All the fibres don't get exposed to water as they would do, and because it's coated in wax, they seem to be quite protected. It definitely needs to be split up a bit. It will not light with a spark if it is in one piece. If you can hear goats or sheep bells ringing, it's because their shepherd is bringing them down in the next field. Right, coming up to 1 minute. Coming up to 2 minutes. Right, past 3 minutes now. Right, over 5 minutes. It is still alight. So 5.5 minutes. There's still a flame there. Over 6 minutes. I can't see a flame. It is hot, but it's not a flame anymore. Oh, there we go. It is still a flame after all. 7 minutes, and it is out. And there is, again, quite a bit of fuel left over, so that could be reignited and used again, but in this test it is out. Next we have the fire gel by Petromax. So to make this fair, we'll use approximately a teaspoon to make it about the same volume as the fire plugs. Is a light, I can feel it. It lit pretty easily actually, as you'd expect from an alcohol. Now, being an alcohol gel, the flame is virtually invisible. You can see it bubbling away there as the alcohol is burning off. I'm going to try and blow this out now. Yeah. And with the lightest of breeze, it is out. I mean, again, a slight spark and it is back up again, but yeah, with the lightest of breezes, this will go out. Now, I'm not even going to test this with water because all it's going to do is dilute the alcohol out and it won't light. So this is not suitable obviously for getting wet. Luckily it comes in this handy container, so it's unlikely the actual fire lighting substance will get wet. So let's light this up and see how long it burns for. Ooh. Yeah, that is ablaze. Let's start the timer. And there you can see it bubbling away. And we are almost at 1 minute. Right, we've passed a minute. Still a light, you can see it bubbling away. Of course, as it gets hot, the gel will melt and will spread out. Again, the flame isn't that hot. Well, it's been over 2 minutes now and it is still alight, but you can tell the fuel is rapidly running out. And that's it gone. So about 3.5 minutes. It does leave a very slightly crusty residue on there. So next, let's try the Okie Dokie Firelighters. As you can see, they are compressed wood blocks. Now, I brought this whole container, which contains 52 of these blocks, for about €4 or €5. Now you can buy these on Amazon. It's €9 for 96 blocks of these. Now, as I said, this is meant to be a green fuel. It's basically made from natural wood. It's basically just compressed pieces of wood, and people can use them for lighting their barbecues and all sorts of things. So let's see how this lights. Yeah, like the other ones, I think we're going to have to create some fibres for this to be able to light. Let's try that. Right, it is lit. So it does need to be broken up, but as you can see, it did light okay once I actually broke up some of those fibres in there. Now let's see how wind resistant it is. So it'll withstand a lighter breeze. So it took quite a bit of force to blow that out. So far, that might be one of the most wind resistant fire starters. Use the other half. Shake that off. Again, I've broken it up to try and get some of the fibres. Just try and break it up a bit more. Right, it doesn't seem to want to light. Let's see if it'll light with a lighter. It is lit now. But even with a lighter, it took some going. I'd say if these are wet, a bit of a thumbs down if you only got a fire steel. Right, let's see how long this will burn for. Oh, it's finally lit. Let's start the clock. Right, coming up to a minute now. That's 1 minute. It's fully ablaze now. 2 minutes. 3 minutes. Still alight. 4 minutes now. Coming up. That's it. 5 minutes. Still going. Over 6 minutes. Over 7 minutes. Coming up to 8 minutes. I think at 8 minutes 30 it's gone out now. I think it keeps on coming back for more. Although it is still hot enough, I think it would light tinder. And there's still plenty of material here. And we're up to almost 9.5 minutes. But I think that is out. I think by about 8.5, 9 minutes, the actual flame was gone. Right, 10 minutes. I just threw it into the fire and it's reignited itself. That is crazy. So right guys, after 11 minutes again in the fire pit, it put itself out. So I think we can say between 9 and 11 minutes these things will stay alight for, which is pretty impressive. Right, next is my homemade fire starter. Now these are just cotton pads and some petroleum jelly which I made very quickly this morning. Now you could make a ton of these. For a tub of the petroleum jelly it's about €3, and for the cotton pads maybe €2. So for €5 you could get tens if not 100 of these little firelighters. But let's see how they light first. So they are sticky, so you will need to keep them. See, it leaves a petroleum jelly residue, so you'll need to keep them in a plastic bag like I did. Right, let's see if they'll take a spark. Pull a little bit apart. Right, that's lit. Took a couple of strikes, but it is lit. Right, now that it's ablaze, let's see how wind resistant it is. So with a stronger gust it will blow out. You can see though closer in there. I'll get you closer in. Whoa, it just reignited itself. I put it out. You see the embers are still in there and it's back alight again. Let's try again. Will it light back up again? No, I think that is out now. Let's see if this is water resistant. Shake it off. And will it light? Whoa. So obviously the other side didn't catch as much water, so it did light. It's running out. Let's try it again. No, I think these are not very water resistant at all. Now let's see how long this will burn for. Start the clock. .30 is pretty well lit now. Right, it's been over a minute. It's still going. Two minutes now, still going. Coming up to 3 minutes and still alight. Four minutes. There is still a flame there. Almost 4.5 minutes before it was out. Again, this is just a little bit of, there is still embers in there, you can see, but there is no flame. There is still a bit of fuel there, a bit of cotton left over, but the flame has gone out. Four minutes. There is still a flame there. And almost 4.5 minutes before it was out. Again, this is just a little bit of, there is still embers in there, you can see, but there is no flame. There is still a bit of fuel there, a bit of cotton left over, but the flame has gone out. So overall, I think the alcohol gel performed the worst. Obviously not much of a flame that you can see. It burnt quite a low temperature, not very weather resistant once it's out of the tube, and then burnt for the least amount of time as well. I think next would be the homemade Firelighters, the cotton with petroleum gel. Yeah, they lit fairly easily. They surprisingly relit themselves once blown out, but they did blow out very quickly. Water was a nightmare, they wouldn't light, and yeah, they burnt for an okay amount of time, but not ideal in problematic conditions, I'd say. Next, although these wood blocks really did surprise me with the amount of time they stayed alight for, I think in more extreme conditions these would have a problem in the wind and in the wet, and they're really bulky as well. You'd need a full one to really light your fire, and it's quite a lot of weight and volume to carry around. So that leaves us with these two. I think based on value, the $4.99 for a small tin with 10 in, so potentially 20 fires out of that. You can get these cheaper if you buy in bulk online, but these, they burnt longer. They were as good, if not better, in the conditions that I put them under, in the wind and the wet, and they're about a third of the price of those. So cheap, very cheerful. 36 fires approximately out of this, maybe more. You could make it last. So the wood with wax impregnated, I think these are the ones to go for. Yeah, you could say these are bulky, I suppose, like the other blocks, but you gain so much more out of them. You could have a tin like this, cut these down to the tin, and just refill them every time you go back out again, and you'd have far more fires, and I think it would probably light more effectively as well. These are very good, but I think I'll go with these. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful and interesting. If you did like it, please give me a thumbs up, and consider subscribing to the channel. It would really help us out. Lots more good stuff coming on the channel in this year, including in my little woodland, which I'm in now. I'm going to try and clear a bit more of these trees out, and I think I'm going to build a wooden cabin right here. Cheers, see you later.